Hey there, it's Lara here with Witchy Wednesday for the week of August 15th to 21st, 2018. Mercury is retrograde. This is the third time I've tried to do this video for you. I have spent literally all afternoon trying to record the video. I made 2 attempts before this and they both cut off. And prior to that, I spent most of the morning dealing with our internet provider because I was having issues. So that is Mercury retrograde in real life and how it plays out in real life. And if I did not have the astrological awareness of that to sort of put things in context, I would be losing my mind right now. As it is, I've had to take a lot of deep breaths and really try to be patient. And I'm bound and determined to do this. And so I'm third time's a charm, hopefully. And I'm going to get this video to you come hell or high water. And that's kind of what we have to do, right? When Mercury's retrograde, because it's about reviewing, redoing, retweaking. And it's about these delays and glitches and with communication and technology and also, and a bit of anxiousness and that kind of thing. And so that's the preamble to the video. I am going to speak directly to Mercury moving direct some more a little bit later in the video. And at the end of the video, I am going to go through each of the signs and speak to where this is happening for you specifically and what you might experience as a result. So if this is your first time here, I just want to say welcome to you. I really appreciate you stopping by. I hope that you subscribe to the channel. Just click the subscribe button below and you'll get the videos as I release them. And I really do appreciate the support, of people who subscribe, leave comments, reach out to me via email or other social media platforms. And you can find the links to Facebook and Instagram below, and my email, and the link to my website if you would like to get a personal reading with me. Because these are very general, readings and talk about the sort of general collective energy and then get specific, usually about one specific thing that's happening based largely on rising sign. And if you do get a reading, you'll know your rising sign because I will cover that in your reading, obviously. And you'll have a copy of your chart so you can follow along with any videos or other reading and research that you do, right? So I want to let you know that in the fall, I will be making a few changes and just in terms of readings, and the prices for readings will go up a little. I do both astrology and tarot readings and combination readings of those two because they do work well together. But here's the thing. I spend a lot of time and expend a lot of energy on my readings. I take it very seriously, right? I also do these weekly videos for free, and you can see that just from the story I just told, sometimes it takes a long time, not only sort of the preparation, but the actual execution and then the uploading and then the technology glitches and things like that can tend to happen. So, I really, when I do a reading for people, I take it very seriously, and my intention is always that it's helpful to you, that it is valuable to you, right? It offers you some value and some real insight, and it's not just about sort of fluff, right? And I've had several people reach out to me. Sorry, it's really hot in here right now because I have to keep the windows closed when I'm doing these. So there's not too much background noise, and I don't have central air, so it's a little warm. But anyway, I've had several people reach out to me to say that either they've been following my posts or these videos and they are skeptics by nature, but that I've piqued their interest which I love. That's pretty cool. I'm happy about that. Um, it's interesting when people start to pay attention, and don't just dismiss astrology as some parlor trick, or something that's like woo woo and and sort of, silly, that kind of thing. When they start to really pay attention and see how it connects to their own lives, that tends to be when the light bulb goes on, right? And you can start to say, maybe there is something to this. And there is, of course, a ton of work by very, very reputable, skilled, intelligent people, that if you're open to exploring a little, may open your eyes and make you less of a skeptic. And if it doesn't, that's okay too, right? It's not really my job to convince you. But if you are paying attention and you find that this is resonating when you didn't really think there was anything to it, then that's awesome. So I've also done a couple of readings for people who sort of were just curious and didn't really think that it would have the impact that it did on them. So if you're interested in a personal reading, or you're interested in ordering a reading for a gift, some people do that too. You can do that at my website. The link is below. And if you want to get in on that before the prices go up, you can do that before fall. I will announce when I'm going to raise the prices though. So getting back to what's going on this week, I'm just going to spend a very small amount of time letting you know where the moon is, because we've just had this, the last of the 3 eclipses for this season happening in Leo. It was a bit of an intense one, but we are approaching the first quarter square of the moon, right? So the moon will be in Scorpio starting tomorrow. It's in Libra right now. And then it will square the sun in Leo. And so a square is a conversation of tension. It's that point where whatever sort of came up for us at the time of the new moon, which in this case was the eclipse in Leo, we may get that first inkling of something needs adjusting, something needs to be addressed, our perspective needs to shift. We need to take some kind of action to resolve a situation, that kind of thing. And so that's happening over the next couple of days. And then on Saturday, the moon moves into Sagittarius. And then on Monday, it moves into Capricorn. Again, astrology is all about cycles. And so it can be helpful to pay attention to the cycles, and particularly the cycle of the moon, because the moon moves quickly and we get a sense of those energies in our day-to-day lives. And we can take note of where the moon is at on any given day and feel how that's impacting us on an emotional level in particular, right? But sort of how we're feeling, what we feel like doing, what we're sort of inspired to do, that kind of thing. And we can get a sense of the cyclical nature, right, of the moon and the planets in general. So, but what I want to spend the remainder of the video talking about is, first off, just addressing all this retrograde motion, all these planets in retrograde, including Mercury, which will go direct on the 19th. And I'll end off the video by addressing that specifically and how it will impact each sign, right? So we have 7 planets in retrograde right now. So of the planets that we really focus on, mostly in astrology, there are only 2 that are not retrograde right now. This is unusual, and it's been this way over the summer. Right now we've got Mercury, Mars, Saturn, Uranus, Pluto, Neptune, and Chiron, all in retrograde motion. And when, you've heard me say before, when planets are in retrograde, it's a moving inward of that energy. It's rather than external. Things are happening, but we may not see them in the external world. It's more below the surface or on an internalized level. And so to me, this says that the universe is really nudging us to take a step back, to do a lot of reflection and reviewing, um, all of those words that are about like, retrospection, um, resolution, that kind of thing, right? Any words that you can think of, really. So it's a time for that right now. It's not a time for a lot of forward momentum and action, and that can feel quite frustrating for us, especially, you know, certain sort of signs will be impacted by this energy more, or feel it more intensely, or you'll feel it more intensely in the energy, in the areas of your chart that it's happening, right? um, but it's almost like this stalled fire energy. The term that I use to describe it in my own personal feeling, and experience, is it's like chaotic stagnation. It's like there's a lot of activity and busyness, maybe mental energy, intention, and anxiousness, but not really getting anywhere that we can see in the external world. So it may be a bit frustrating, and there may be this feeling of pent up energy. And I encourage you to spend some time reflecting inward and find outlets for that energy in that are healthy, rather than allowing the energy to build and becoming so frustrated that you blow, right? And we're seeing this happen on the world stage, and also, in our personal lives somewhat. And so it's really important to be aware and conscious. That's what astrology can help you with, right? And you have this awareness, then it's easier for you to work with the energy at any given time, right? Or to accept it, and to utilize it and harness it. And so right now is not a time for any major decisions, any major forward movement. And we can feel like, something wants to happen, but we don't know how to make it happen, or we don't know even what it is, or it's just this internal combustion kind of thing going on. And so we're going to start to see that ease as we move to the later part of August, and then into the fall, and into the new year. So there will be a forward momentum will start to happen, and that frustration will start to ease a little bit, and we'll find some outlets for that energy. And things that have been feeling stalled will start to ease up and move forward. So we're going to have Mercury direct on the 19th in Leo, and then Mars will be direct on the 27th of August, Saturn moving direct on September 6th, Pluto on September 30th, Neptune on November 24th, Chiron on December 9th, and Uranus January 6th, 2019. So you can see how we will have this bit by bit forward motion, right, happening, which will be welcome in many ways. And so with Mercury moving direct, that's the first one. So that's the one I'm going to address here for the remainder of the video. Things will start to become clearer to us, in general, but particularly in terms of what's been transpiring in the Leo area of our chart. There's been a lot of stuff going on in Leo, right? The eclipses and the North Node there. And I know Leos have been feeling this intensity. So, but generally, Mercury retrograde, as I said at the beginning, it brings breakdowns in communications, or stalls in communications, and glitches in technology, communications, electrical circuitry, machinery, even transportation delays, and that kind of thing can happen, right? And there can also be this sense of inner tension, mental tension, anxiety, nervous tension, that kind of thing that can happen. And so, like, we feel like we're in a rush, but there's no place to go almost. It can feel a little bit like that. And that's why it's important during a Mercury retrograde to really cross your T's and dot your I's, right? And to review things and reflect and be patient. Patience has been the key word for this summer in general, and will continue to be to a degree, moving, throughout the remainder of the year. But again, not so much as we've been feeling. It will start to ease gradually. I'm going to show you the chart right now, just to show you all these retrograde planets. Starting with, there's Mercury. So this chart was drawn up for when Mercury will have moved direct. So Mercury will be direct in Leo. That's on the 19th Eastern Standard Time. I'm going by here. And then we see up here, we've got, a better way to do it will be like this. We've got Saturn retrograde in Capricorn, Pluto retrograde in Capricorn, Mars retrograde in Capricorn. And we've got, where are we here? We've got Neptune retrograde in Pisces, Chiron retrograde in Aries, Uranus retrograde in Taurus, right? If you see on the chart, there is a little RX thing right there. That shows retrograde, okay? That's what that's indicating. And so that just shows you, right, what's going on right now. It's an unusual situation for certain. And I just, I want to just pause very briefly and just say to you, I hope you don't mind when I sort of bring a bit of teaching kind of into these videos. It's not my nature to just spew information and not sort of justify it or give you context. I am a teacher by nature and by training as well. I was an elementary teacher for like 10 years. And so I just find it's more valuable to you, and it's more in alignment with who I am when I approach my videos and my readings that way. And so, I trust that the people that resonate with my approach are the ones who will find me and connect, kind of thing. So I'm going to, before I speak to each sign, I just want to mention that on the same day that Mercury's going direct, there's some other good news happening. Jupiter in Scorpio will be trining Neptune in Pisces. So a trine is a conversation of ease. And so we will hopefully have this Mercury direct, it will be even lifted up a little bit more by this energy, this trine. And this trine between Jupiter and Neptune, this will be the third time for this exact conversation, third and final time. We had it happen in December of 2017 was the first time, then May of 2018, and now it's going to happen again on the 19th. And so this energy is one of generosity and compassion and faith. Increased sort of the capacity for, sorry, the lighting's really wonky, capacity for spiritual awakening and growth and expansion and truth seeking, and also possibly, a surge in creative inspiration. And then on the flip side, or the sort of lower vibrational side, which you hear me talk about in videos and in personal readings, we always, there is a lower vibrational quality and a higher vibrational quality to these planetary energies. And so at the lower vibrational end, it may be like delusions of grandeur when these two planets have this conversation. It may be like big delusion happening, really seeing the world through rose-colored glasses, almost a mania in a way. Or big deception as well is possible. But I'm a sort of glass half full kind of person, and again, if you are aware of these energies and you're conscious of the way things are presenting, you can harness the higher vibrational octave, right? And then also we have Mercury going direct, having a conversation with Venus in Libra. that is quite opportunistic. It's called a sextile. And so we'll have this suggests the opportunity to resolve any conflict, particularly in personal relationships, or any stagnation that may have happened there. And really just smoothing over of communications, and having more harmonious, balanced sort of communications in general. So have patience though. Okay, patience is the word, because this forward momentum is not going to happen all at once. It's going to be a gradual unfolding, and but it's, it will be welcome relief kind of thing. Okay, so I'm going to start by speaking to Leo, because this is happening, Leo, in your first house. And Leo, as I mentioned a little while ago there, you've been getting hit hard kind of thing. There have been these eclipses on the Leo Aquarius axis that have been happening over the last year and a half kind of thing, or more. I don't know I can't remember exact time frame, but this energy is starting to resolve, right? There will be one more eclipse happening on this axis in January, and then the eclipse cycle will move on to the Cancer Capricorn axis. And so, and we've also had the North Node, right, in your sign, and which is about our collective destiny, and our evolution. And so this is like, there's a lot going on, Leo, for you. And so this Mercury retrograde has been happening in your first house. And so there may have been, the first house, it's like, if you think of the birth chart as a life cycle, the first house is about the moment of birth, right? It's about the first breath we take. It's about our instinctual nature, about our will and our desires on a core base level. And it's also it's about our physical body. It's about how we present ourselves, who we are out there in the world, how we present ourselves in the world, how people perceive us, how we instinctually respond to external stimuli. And so, Leo, if you've been feeling some tension, some anxiety in this area, some stagnation, frustration, breakdowns in communications, that kind of thing, when Mercury moves direct, gradually there will be a forward momentum there, and that will ease up for you, I am happy to say. And so take heart, patience, deep breaths, and this too shall pass, right? So ultimately, though, I want to say, like, this is all for the best. Like, this evolution wants to happen for you, right? So allow it, and try to let go of the past, of past patterns and behaviors, and what's no longer serving, that kind of thing, and move forward. North Node, move forward with how life wants to evolve for you. All right, Cancer, this is happening in your second house of your resources, your monetary resources, but anything you possess, really, that helps you feel secure and helps you have a sense of stability and helps you sustain yourself. And it's about your self-worth. And so there may have been some struggles in this area, or this feeling of a stagnation or tension, or communication stalls and delays and breakdowns, and glitches happening. And so this will move forward for you. And I also want to say to you that, you had the first of the eclipses that are happening in your sign. You had that in July, and then in January there will be more, and it will be kind of your turn in the eclipse cycle. The Cancer Capricorn axis will experience the eclipses moving forward for the next couple years, kind of thing. And so there will be just like change is happening. That doesn't have to be a scary thing. It could be a very positive thing, actually. So, but just be aware, kind of thing. Have that awareness. And so, if things are feeling like they're evolving, that's meant to happen, right? So try not to resist. Gemini, this is happening in your third house of your communications. This is like your home house, and it's you are a Mercury ruled sign, and so Mercury retrogrades you can really feel them, right? And so there may have been some miscommunication happening for you, some mental tension, some anxiety, nervousness, tense communications, breakdowns in communications, or anything surrounding communications, or instruments of communication even. And so this will start to ease for you as Mercury moves direct on the 19th. Taurus, for you, this Mercury direct will happen in your fourth house. So it's been retrograde there in your house of home and family, and your roots and your ancestry and your past, and also on a sort of mundane level, your real estate, right? Your property, or your place of living, kind of thing. And so there may have been some frustration there, aggravations, all those words I've been using: tension, anxiety, breakdowns, that kind of thing happening in that area, Taurus. And that can be quite frustrating, no doubt. And, just take heart, because as Mercury moves direct, this will start to resolve for you. Aries, this is in your fifth house. So you may have been feeling all these frustrations, or inward reflection, the call for inward reflection, some aggravation, some frustration, some nervous tension, that kind of thing, right? In fifth house areas. So anything having to do with children, your children, or children in general, children you work with, children you're connected to in some way. And also with anything creative that you do, like your creative output, your creative self-expression. And it just in general, it may just have been difficult the last little while to have fun in life. It may have, there may have been somebody sort of being a downer, right, at the party, or you're having frustrations with your kids, or difficulties communicating with your kids. These are just some examples of how this can play out. And so as Mercury moves direct, we'll gradually have an ease and a forward momentum there. Pisces, this is in your sixth house of the daily grind. All those tasks that you do on the day-to-day, the tasks that you do in service to others, also your routines, like just your daily routine, and that includes your health and wellness routines. And this area of life may be feeling a bit like you're a hamster on a wheel. There may be a lot of activity, but not a lot of, sort of concrete sort of feelings of actually getting something productive done. I'm a Pisces sun, and I know that this has been happening for me. A lot of busyness, but not a lot of, what I see as productivity. And, maybe some frustrations and anxiousness, that kind of thing. In terms of health and wellness, I've been feeling really, really tired, right? And it's been a bit frustrating for me. So as Mercury moves direct, this is going to ease up, and you'll be able to have some forward momentum there, and actually maybe feel like, the day-to-day routine is working for you a little bit better. Aquarius, this is happening in your seventh house. So you may have been experiencing some tension in relationships, one-to-one relationships specifically. Communication confusion and breakdowns and that kind of thing. And so with Mercury moving direct in this seventh house for you, there's an opportunity there to smooth over those relationships and have better communications there, less misunderstandings, less tension, less nervousness, that kind of thing. With Capricorn, this is in your eighth house. This is it's always difficult. The eighth house is hard to translate, as is the 12th house. The eighth house is a house of intimacy, ultimately. And that can mean many things, right? It's like where we're vulnerable. Oftentimes you'll hear it's about our shared resources. And why can that be vulnerable? Well, because, you know, sharing those resources like money, for example, with another, that can be a really vulnerable thing. We hear about this is like money that can come to you from come and go from taxes and insurance and inheritance and that kind of thing. Well, that's touchy subject matter, right? It can be a vulnerable position to be in, to need to claim, an insurance claim, for example. We all know the reputation of insurance companies, and that can be a tough place to be. But at another level, this is about, what's kind of buried in our deep psyche, our deep psychology, and even hidden subject matter, like astrology, right? It's like occult knowledge falls into this area. So any of those areas of life may have been feeling this sense of frustration, of tension, of worry, of breakdown in communication, that kind of thing. And with Mercury moving direct, there will be some forward momentum happening there. Sagittarius, this is in your ninth house. So this is like any associations or connections with foreigners, like foreign travel, foreign cultures. It's like a mind, this expansive house of learning about the world on a grander scale, right? It's about so like on a mundane level, like colleges, universities, that kind of thing, or any learning you do outside of high school and elementary school. But also about just your worldview, your philosophy, your beliefs, how you approach life. And so this may have been up for review the last while, and some, again, tension, anxiety, miscommunication, breakdowns, that kind of thing happening in the ninth house areas. And so you'll see some relief happening here, Sagittarius. And then Scorpio, so I have just 3 more to go here. Scorpio in the 10th house. The 10th house is a public house. It's how you are perceived on the world stage. It's who you are on the world stage, kind of thing, out there in public. It's about your highest aspirations and your ambitions and your career on a mundane level, right? But your career aspirations as well. And so there may have been some frustration happening here, some stagnation, some miscommunication, again, some tension, some concern and worry and inward reflection, all of those things. And now with Mercury moving direct, you'll feel a sense of relief there, and the momentum will start to happen in that area. Libra, this is happening in your 11th house of connections you have with groups, with friendships, with organizations, that kind of thing. And also it has to do with your hopes and wishes for the future. So these areas may have felt a little frustrated lately, a little confused and tense, and the communications might have been a bit frustrating or confusing. And so this will ease up for you as Mercury moves direct. Virgo, last but not least in this case, this is happening in your 12th house. Again, difficult to translate this energy, but it's a very spiritual, sort of hidden house, because it's what goes on our internal world, right? And it can be about how we kind of sabotage ourselves too. But there may be some, this area of life may be frustrated in some way, or there may be some tension, or, there's maybe some, like, even kind of like flashbacks happening that are making you go like, whoa, things you haven't thought about in a long while, bubbling up from from the depths, right? And this feeling of even a lack of connection to the bigger picture or to something higher than yourself, or this frustration there, or um, uh, you know, a sense of wanting to kind of escape, and a need to let go of control. You know, whereas the sixth house opposite it is about the daily grind. This is more about the sort of bigger picture. Um, and so, you know, there can be a sense of confusion happening really here. And I feel like I'm not really even translating this all that well here. Mercury retrograde, right? I'm having a hard time with my communications, but I hope you get the sense of what I'm saying. I am a Virgo rising, and so I'm impacted by this energy myself, and so feeling like a real need to reflect and review, and for some solitude, and having and wanting to spend some time in reflection, but it's been frustrating because I haven't really had the opportunity to do that on the day to day, right? And so hopefully with this Mercury moving direct, that will ease up moving forward. Okay, got through the video. It didn't cut off this time. Yay, third time's a charm. So I'm going to wrap it up and say to you that I hope you do feel some ease coming back into your sphere with Mercury moving direct this week. And slow and steady and patiently, we will get there, right? And we will start to feel some forward momentum happening for the remainder of the year after that. All right, everybody, take care. Thank you for being here, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.